I think that people are misinterpreting the rage this morning from a lot of Warrior fans. It's not about what they got in return for Kuminga. It's all the wasted energy and time. And then just the yo-yoing back and forth. And the reality of we spent all this time and hoarded, held on just to have this be the result?
Yeah.
Did the ends justify the means? Meaning, the point we're at today, was it worth going through everything we went through for the last 4.5 years? No. But it's not just Kuminga. It's the totality and the sequence and the timeline of how everything played out with the backdrop of how old Steph is, how special Steph is, and how rare what they had, and the time to strike that deal was coming to an end. And they waited and waited and waited. And this
years of up and down with Jonathan Kuminga. The Warriors have finally said goodbye to him, and in comes Kristaps Porzingis. Good morning, Goo. How you doing? How's my main man doing?
I'm not doing well.
Uh-oh, why not?
I'm not doing well because of what went down last evening, and I need your help today and the listeners. Donnie, I'm being real.
Yep.
I'm disappointed, but it's rapidly turning into anger.
Oh, no.
Because we gave away a 23-year-old for a 30-year-old who hasn't played since January 7th, hasn't played 60 games in the last 7 seasons.
So those sound bites were courtesy of some Golden State analysts, podcasters, or whatever you want to call them. And they were in an uproar of what had occurred in the trade deadline, which, of course, Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield were sent to Atlanta for Kristaps Porzingis, who hasn't played since January 7th, former Knick. I remember when my team shipped him to Dallas, I had no hard feelings, but I was happy he was gone because he did nothing. But that's the nature of the business. And based on the NBA product right now, this trade deadline is a absolute positively reflection of today's product. This trade deadline is nowhere near or even close to what I used to witness as a young kid, as a teenager, early adolescence. Now, it's not even close. The product has created this type of a trade deadline. So I'm not even blaming the players. This was created by the atmosphere that Adam Silver has fostered and encouraged. So, folks, I'm going to get into more of it. The court starts right now. So, welcome to the court, folks. Once again, thanks to all those that continue to listen and support the show. I appreciate that. And I'm going to make this episode as good as all the others that I've done. And any questions, concerns, please, it's always welcome. So first order of business for this episode, and I definitely got to say something here. I'm going to address the Ja situation. That's what I'm going to address because I think that's one of the biggest moments of this draft. The trades that did not happen. Ja Morant trade not happening. This is based on a lot of things. 2 factors. His personal behavior on and off the court and his dad. People don't want to deal with that. I'm telling you, teams are not going to deal with that. And the fact that some teams asked for a first-round pick with Ja tells you everything you need to know. Ja's got 2 years left on his contract. Got 2 years left. He's potentially a supermax player based on how everything goes in the next couple of years. But I'll say this, it might sound crazy. I'm telling you this because I could see this. And I don't want this to happen to him. But if a team doesn't trade for him, he might not be in the league in 2 to 3 years. Because we know how this new NBA is. They could push you out very quickly. You saw it with Michael Beasley. You saw it with O.J. Mayo. You saw it with Craig Hodges. You saw it with Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. It's a thing that happens. And these players I'm mentioning, Tyreke Evans too, these are good players. These are not role players like a Mike Conley or a Kobe White or Colin Sexton. These are players. All these guys I mentioned are ballers. And they're all were pushed out of the league before their time. So, obviously for various reasons, these guys were pushed out of the league, but Ja could be another example of one of those guys, if he doesn't be careful, will get pushed out of the league. And he's still got that Nike contract, but for how long? So, the trade that didn't happen is one of the biggest deals, biggest moments of the trade deadline. No question about it. So I just hope that Memphis figures out a way to do something in the offseason, because they got rid of Desmond Bane. They got rid of Jaren Jackson. They obviously are telling everybody they're rebuilding. I never saw them as a contender in the first place, but whatever. So where do they go from here? That's their problem. That's their business. But for Ja, I want to see Ja succeed. And something miraculous is going to have to happen between now and the offseason. So, but it's just crazy how Ja Morant was not even looked at. Teams kind of said, yeah, let's look, when you go to a store, you kind of look at something, you don't even pick it up, you just kind of look at it and walk away. That's how they treated Ja Morant during the trade deadline. So it's going to be crazy how Memphis finishes off this season. Does he finish the season with them? Do they deactivate him? I mean, there's so much crazy things that could happen within the next 48 to 72 hours. So let's just keep our eyes out for that. But the other trade that didn't happen was Giannis. And in that case, I have no problems with that. Milwaukee could sit and wait and see what's going on with him and then make a decision afterwards. They say he's out 4 to 6 weeks. Just say he's out indefinitely. I don't like when they say that. Like, it's just like, whatever. He's out for a month and a half. No, he's out indefinitely. He might not come back for the rest of the year, depending on what Milwaukee does. I mean, players sit out now for no reason anyways. So, he's legitimately hurt. Let him rest up, see what they could do. Maybe if Milwaukee makes a push, if they don't, season's over, you trade him in the offseason. What's the big deal? I just don't see why all the noise from all these marks and all these social media people online. I just think it's preposterous, all the noise some of these people are making. You know what I mean? So people need to relax. Like, look, I totally understand why Ja wasn't traded for, and I totally understand why Giannis didn't get traded. Milwaukee's trying to bag somebody. It makes sense. He's won a championship. He's a future Hall of Famer, and he's a basketball player who comes to work. He just doesn't see. He's not Anthony Davis. He's not Anthony Davis. He's stratospheres ahead of Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis is a 10-time All-Star. And I'm saying this because Giannis's numbers prove it. So if you're Milwaukee, you wait. You don't just do a Luka trade. Like, you don't do one of those February 1st trades, Sunday night or Saturday night at 11:59 to 12:01. You don't do one of those. So also Cam Thomas getting released. Just like that. Just like that. This was a kid that once had 2 games where he had, I think, 47. He had 47 against the Clippers. And then he had 44 against Washington. Like, he had some games. And now he's been waived. He's been waived. 2023 is career high, 47, February 6th. And then February the 4th, he had 44. And since then, he had a 45-point game. He had a 46 that same season. He had a 43 in 2024. Oh, yes, 43 points, February the 7th. So, February the 4th, 2023, February the 6th, 2023, and February the 7th, he had a total of 43-1, 44-1, and then 47. And after that, it's just been a bunch of like 12, 0, 8. Go check it out if you don't believe what I'm saying. Against Chicago, he played 24 minutes. He had 3 points. January 19th against Phoenix, he did not play. The Knicks, he had 16 minutes, 5 points. The 23rd against Boston, 19 minutes, 7 points. He didn't play against the Clippers. Phoenix, 25 minutes, 11 points. 24 minutes against Utah. Okay, 21. February 1st at Detroit, 12 points. Then he played the Lakers, home game, 23 minutes, 8 points. Not the same Cam Thomas from almost 3 years ago. He's not the same guy. And Brooklyn said, nah, we got to get rid of you, kid. When the production doesn't meet the tolerance, they will can you. And they didn't hesitate to do it during this trade deadline. They didn't even think about trading him. They just released him. They waived him. Waiving is a nice way of saying you've been released. But that's crazy. Anyways. So Dallas, this was earlier on in the trade deadline, decided to trade Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, and a bunch of other spare parts to Washington for Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, and Malachi Brahman. First of all, they're probably going to buy out Chris Middleton. D'Angelo Russell is done. I don't see anything special about him. And Anthony Davis is basically in the Kristaps Porzingis division, the part-time division plus. Not the Kawhi load management, the part-time division plus. It's just, people say, oh, Washington won the deal. Nobody won the deal. Has Trae Young played yet? Like, do people understand how this NBA is right now? Players are spending more time on the bench than they are on the court. It's crazy. So if anybody says that Dallas lost this deal, I don't think they lost this deal. I just think the Luka trade was a little too hesitant, but I understood why Dallas did it. I totally understand why Dallas traded Luka. They're not winning with that team in LA. They're not going to win. He doesn't play defense. You didn't see what happened to them in the finals against Boston? Come on. That's just a prelude of what's going to happen. But Anthony Davis, like, come on, I'm sorry, but I don't see anything great about this deal. I just see a bunch of parts being traded, and that's it. And of course, the deal that happened, before I get to this deal, the genesis of it. So James Harden, playing at home for the Clippers, doing what he's doing. I think at this point he had played 44 games, which is good. You know, he did his thing. Decided, hey man, let me go ask the organization for, you know, a little bit of a bonus, or a little raise. 2 years, $80 million. You know how it goes. James Harden from Los Angeles, grew up in Los Angeles, went to Lakewood. Sorry, not Lakewood, sorry. He's from Lakewood. Went to Lakewood. I think it's Artesa he went to. Artesia? I think something like that. But 11-time All-Star, All-NBA, most, like, James Harden has done his thing. Like, you guys can say whatever. He's done his thing. And you know, we see these things, and we kind of say to ourselves, okay, you know, what's going on and how this is happening, and what's happening and all this crap. And, you know, James Harden, as much as we criticize him, he's still averaging 25, 4, and 8. He's averaging 8 assists a game. He can pass the ball. He's very underachieved. Not underachieved, sorry. He's underrated as a passer. Like, it's crazy. Like, this man, he's played 44 games so far. And the crazy part about it is James Harden played 79 games last year. He played 72 the year before with the Clippers, out of a possible 82. So if you expect me to shit on him for asking for a trade from that mess in LA that has basically let Kawhi control the team and let him do whatever he wants, I don't blame him. I would have left too. That's why Paul George left. When they traded Norm Powell, I was like, what? What are they doing? Lawrence Frank is I don't know what this guy's doing. So James Harden asking for a trade, I was actually impressed with that. Now, people say he does that all the time. Yes, we know what happened in Houston. Yes, we know what happened in Brooklyn. Yes, we know what happened in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia situation is very intriguing. The Brooklyn situation, again, he was playing. So I don't know. I mean, when he was in Houston, he was giving you 78, 73, 81, 82, 81, 72, 78, and then 68. That was his time in Houston. He was playing. Then he comes to the Clippers, he gives you 72 and 79 games. And you guys are talking? You guys need to go after Kawhi Leonard. And I still don't understand how a guy is honored in this city who did not want to be here. He made it clear he didn't want to be here, and they honored him on the court. Like I said, they should have honored somebody else from right here in this city or the GTA who did things and it was committed to the GTA slash the six. Not Kawhi Leonard. But that's a whole different episode for another day. So, and the joke is the night before, he didn't play in Toronto. He had an ankle injury. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not sitting here throwing shade on him. I'm throwing facts. You see all this stuff with Kawhi and all this whatever. James Harden's like, nah, I'm out. I want my money. I'm balling here. And he is. 79 games. You know? And people say, oh, he's this and that. And that. You hear the analyst on ESPN and all these other outlets and Fox and these podcasters and these whoever's. Oh, Kawhi's averaging 27. Yeah, how many games has he played? How many games has he played? He played 37 games last year. The year before that, he played 68, which was a contract year. The year before that, he played 52, 52, 57, and of course his 60, which is the most he played since then when he was in Toronto. Come on, man. Give me a break. The last time he played 70 plus games was San Antonio in 2016, 2017, where he played 74. James Harden, congratulations. I applaud you. Get out of that place. You're the man on that team. I'm telling you. People say, oh, it's Kawhi. No, James Harden was the engine that controlled that bus. But he got traded for Darius Garland, who can't stay healthy at all. He's another, can't stay healthy guy. So for me, if people say Cleveland won the trade, I would say, yeah, Cleveland slightly won this trade. They're getting a guy in Harden who could distribute the ball. He's going to find guys. He's going to make things happen. So I'm glad the Clippers made that deal. Like, they're so dumb enough to make it, they should. And then, on top of that, with Kawhi got selected to the All-Star game based on, I guess the commissioner or the minimum requirement for U.S. All-Stars, I think, to be six. Whatever foolishness that they say they're supposed to do. It doesn't matter. People were in an uproar when Kawhi wasn't selected. They were right. He doesn't play enough games. Like I said again, I totally understand to a max why Harding said I want out. I just played 79 games for you guys, and you guys can't give me 2 years. I'm asking for 5. I'm asking for 2. You give this guy a new contract, he's probably going to sit another 20 games. Come on, I'm out of here. Get out of there. Anybody that plays for that team now is going to see what I'm talking about. And it just leads me to this next deal that I think the Clippers are trying to save their butts, and they're not going to. So the Clippers sent, I can't believe they did. They sent Zubac to the Pacers. The Pacers do need a big. The whole situation with Miles Turner, I don't know what the hell happened. The Pacers are just that team. I don't know where they're going. They go from this. If they had kept the team that they had from last year, minus of course the injury to Halliburton, they'd still be a contender. But I don't know what this team's going to look like because they gave up Benedict Mathurin. I don't know what, and they gave up 2 first-rounders, a second-round pick, whatever. It doesn't matter. Benedict Mathurin was a spark off the bench. Who's that spark off the bench for Indiana? I don't understand that deal at all. I just don't agree with it. I think Zubac is whatever. But the Clippers, Benedict Mathurin, what is he going to do? He's supposed to be a second guy to Harding? I don't think anybody, not to Harding, sorry, to Kawhi. Like, come on. I just don't like that deal at all. I don't like it. I don't like the Pacers just decimating their team for Zubac. It just doesn't make any sense. But who am I, right? So, anyways, coming up next, here's a clip from Austin Rivers, soundbite from Austin Rivers, and I'm going to comment quickly on that. And then I'm going to comment on something else, but stay tuned for that.
The biggest problem for players is they don't learn to change their ways until it's too late. They want to change as soon as the opportunity has been taken from them already. It's too late. Professional sports is unforgiving, so they don't care. Some players are talented, so they get a second chance. Don't bet on talent, because it's not always going to be there for you. You can't always rely on it. If you're relying on your talent, you're eventually going to fail. There has to be something else you add to the game more than just you being talented, bro. Otherwise, you're wasting it. And that's the biggest thing I take away. I got to play in the NBA over a decade. I would have never played that long if I didn't adjust and learn at opportune times to know how to kill my ego. You have to know when to kill your ego and when to believe in it. And some guys can't figure that out. Just continue to hang their hat on who they are and confuse that with progression.
But if you can do it, being the number 1 player in the country,
yeah, bro.
Going to Duke out of all colleges, being one and done, being a top 10 pick, if you could do it, a lot of these other guys should be able to do it as well.
Everyone's a star from where they are, and everyone's parents and friends and brothers think they're the greatest thing in the world. They don't give a damn. Okay, in the NBA. I'm not saying it's cold as that, like there's not brotherhoods and friendships formed in the NBA, because there is, plenty. But the business reality and who's on that roster will always remain what it is. And it's a business, and it's a cold one. And if you are someone whose output isn't high and your maintenance is, they gonna get rid of you, bro.
Austin Rivers is 100% correct. Yes, he's right. Once the tolerance doesn't meet the production, they're going to send you packing. Ask Cam Thomas that. He got waived. And I find that this generation of players across the globe are banking their talents and not banking the hard work. You got to get the work in, man. Like I'm telling you, the work is going to pay off. I always believe when you go the extra mile, with your training, your mental preparation, all the other things that make you a great player, the doors that you never thought would open are going to open for you. There are doors that are going to open for you that you're never going to think are going to open when you work hard. Whether you're a coach, a player, it doesn't matter, an assistant, it doesn't matter. Those extra tips that you extra Timbits that you put in your work ethic is going to do things for you that are completely magical. So, and that's why you see, like I said, Ja Morant, perfect example. What is he doing in the off season? You know, all this other stuff that's going on. I tell you, if you don't put the work in, you see Giannis doing it. He's a champion. Champions know how to win. Champions know how to prepare. You know, so, and I said, and I remember I said a couple years back when Derrick Rose went to Memphis, I felt that was one of the best things for Ja. because he had somebody like Derrick Rose who could show him things and was a mentor. And he was a good thing. It was a very good thing for Memphis. I felt that was one of the best free agent deals of the summer. People said, "Oh, what the hell? He's not going to play." Of course, I'm talking about Ja. And I feel like Memphis needs another player like that, but they don't have it. And a lot of these teams don't invest in veteran players or a veteran player to kind of hold things together. Sorry. You know, the locker room needs a veteran, a leader, a captain, not just a captain with a C on it. The letters are garbage, but a leader who actually takes action in crises that the coach might not be able to handle, you know? Because when a crisis is created, it only takes a few seconds for things to either go right or wrong. Trust me, I know. So Memphis is missing a lot of things. They're missing leadership. They're missing a mentor. They're missing structure. It's just a whole plethora of things. So, you know, but next sound bite. This comes from a podcaster, and he's right. I don't have to agree with everybody, but he's right. And I want you to listen to this soundbite, and I'm going to comment on this.
Jeanie Buss was upset that was the narrative, that LeBron saved the Lakers. Jeanie Buss wanting credit for getting LeBron is the problem. Jeanie Buss being unwilling to acknowledge that the basketball person, that is LeBron, is responsible for the turnaround of the franchise, that is the problem. They were quite literally the worst team in the entire NBA from the time when Jerry Buss passed away to the time that LeBron James signed with the Lakers. The biggest mistake that Jeanie Buss has made in her tenure as owner of the Lakers is she has leaned on her personal circle of friends and confidants to run the team instead of approaching it from the perspective of finding the very best basketball people to run the team. So I just thought it was funny when I read that article because I'm like, oh, Jeanie just doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. She thinks this is about her.
So that was Jason Timpf. Hopefully I get it right. And he's absolutely right. The Jeanie Buss LeBron situation, hey, you know, you allowed him to take control. You allowed him to take control. And I always say this, when you let players take control, what are you letting them take control of? You see what's happening in LA with the Clippers. It's a mess. Everybody's bailing out. Paul George bailed out. They traded Norm. James Harden, as most of you know now, is now a Cavalier. Like, it's not a joke. So, I don't know. Like, Jeanie Buss, of course, she finally sold the team, as I said she would. But it's just like, yo, you guys got to figure out that you got to have common sense in this situation. Like, you cannot be that naive. You cannot. Seriously? Like, Jeanie Buss obviously fell asleep somewhere and then realized, hey, man, if you feel like you're going to be the face of this franchise, you're not the face of the franchise. You're just an owner. You were an owner. You know, and before LeBron got there, the team was a mess. Let's be honest. He went there for his reasons, and she needed him for her reasons. LeBron got a pandemic championship, and so, hey, I think that Jeanie Buss needs to cool off now that she's no longer the owner of the team. I think it's a good thing for the Lakers not to have her as an owner because that team just wasn't going anywhere with her. So the whole situation with LeBron and the Lakers right now, I think LeBron is done. I think LeBron has still got another year or two left, but as far as being a Laker, I think that Laker story is over. It just needs to happen in June. So, but as always, folks, thank you for listening to the show. And the trade deadline talk is finally done for me. I definitely was not going to spend all show talking about all the trades, only the ones that were significant or somewhat significant. But if you thought I was going to come on this show and say, well, let me talk about the Eric Gordon trade, Eric Gordon for a 2039 pick. Like, no, I'm not doing that. You go on Twitter and or Instagram or whatever and go check out for those little Timbit picks. I am not doing that. Because this trade deadline basically is just about either cap space clearing or hope. Like Washington's hoping that Anthony Davis is going to play with Trae Young, which probably is not going to happen. Meanwhile, Cleveland has got a basketball player who's going to play because James Harden plays. So it's a story for us to watch as the time now has expired for the trade deadline. And as the season continues, there'll be more stories, more great stories. But folks, once again, for all those that have listened to this show and that are going to continue to listen to the show, big respect and thank you. This is the Court. I'm signing off. Peace.
Because you're going to know what you did wrong. Right. That's why it's important when coaches say, hey, go watch your tape. Go watch film, right? Mm-hmm. We say, well, I don't want to go do that. But when you can watch that film and critique yourself, that's when that superstar is being born.
We talking studying film too. We ain't talking about you watching film and you just finding your buckets. Nah, that ain't what we talking about. We talking about literally sit down and watch how you moving without the ball. Exactly. Watch how you defended somebody. See what tweaks you can make. Everybody that get on their thing, they want to get their highlights. They want to see what's good, what they doing that's good, because nobody wants that criticism of what they doing wrong. Absolutely. You feel me?
Self-criticism.